What's up, folks? I'll wait for some guys to jump on, some people to jump on, and we'll get going on this live question and answer. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. We've had an excellent weekend. Went to the old truck and tractor pulls last night. Stayed up kind of late. Had fun with the wife, but did that. It's kind of been raining here all day, so just kind of been lazing around on the couch with the pets and kind of relaxing. So, not much in the world been going on. As you guys have seen, got the cameras out, I don't know, probably maybe a month ago. Something like that. And we ain't done a live in a while, but I probably got some of them out. Here, we got the cameras out. Here, one camera that I had shut off. I need to get out there and do some trimming on it. Apparently, I didn't trim back far enough. It was a bunch of weeds was catching it and setting it off, so I had to shut that off. All in all, seen a few does. Looks like a few nice up-and-coming bucks. Excited for this season. Can't wait. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a whole lot. Had Bo out a few times in between work and sleep and spending time with the wife. And I've had it out a few times doing some shots and kind of just enjoying life, trying to take it easy. We need to get out and do some tips and tricks and stuff and get some new stuff on the YouTube for you guys. And man, I can't wait. I hope you guys have been watching all the Gen 7 episodes. I can't wait until this past year's episodes hit live. As I've told my wife, I don't need to watch these episodes. I've seen them, I filmed them, I've done it all, but it'll be kind of nice to see them two great bucks being taken on my great big screen TV, and I can't wait to bring all that to you guys, and so you guys can watch. So looks like we got a few people that's jumped on. Let's go ahead and kick off this Q&A. It's 2:03 in the afternoon, so you've had about 3 or 4 minutes. If not, as always, tell Ryder I said hi. As always, you'll be able to catch this. It'll be on the Facebook page, and it'll also be on the website in a few days as soon as Facebook lets me upload it, so I can get it onto the website. You guys can check that out underneath other live Q&A, Facebook Q&A. So first things first. First question that came out was one that I haven't heard for a while, and I think it's a myth buster anyway. And it's pretty important, especially for you first-time hunters that are out there deer hunting, that's never field dressed a deer. Maybe you're trying to learn some tips, tactics, been watching YouTube videos. I learned how to gut a deer, field dress a deer, whatever you want to call it. I learned that back when I was probably 12, 13 years old when I killed my first deer. Dad showed me. My grandfather also showed me. Finally, they just started throwing them. Actually, they were doing it for me. They showed me, they did it for me. And then finally, they just threw the knife down and said, here, it's your deer, do it. But anyway, if you're learning and you're watching YouTube videos, like I said, I've watched a few myself, especially after this question come in, because I never even heard of it before. But the question is it true that if you do not remove the windpipe of a deer while field dressing, that it will spoil? Is it true? I have no idea, guys. What I do is once I get so far up that rib cage, and I try to get halfway up, 3/4 of the way up, depending on if it's going to be a shoulder mount. If it's going to be a shoulder mount, of course, you're going to stop at the edge of the rib cage, and you're going to reach up in there as far as you can into that rib cage and try to get all that out of there. Because you don't want to hurt that hide past that rib cage. You want to leave that for the taxidermist if you're going to do a nice shoulder mount. But I I get halfway, 3/4 up, and then I reach up in there as far as I can, grab a hold of that windpipe, and I will bring that whole front end out to me, and I will cut as far up as I can with that windpipe. I'll stick my arm clean up in there, and there's a lot of times after I field dress a deer, I've got marks from the rib cage from doing this, and they'll be on both of my wrists, and it just looks like I've been through a patch of briars. They're so messed up. But you reach up in there as far as you can and slice that windpipe out of there and take it out with the rest. I don't know. I know some guys, and I can remember my grandfather and my father doing it when we was going to let deer hang. We would cut them after we'd get them back to the house. We'd open them up. We'd cut them as far down as we could, and we'd just rip that windpipe out. I know a couple of stories that I won't repeat because it's not good, because there are children watching probably. But I can just remember a few with my grandfather and my mother, and not good. Anyway, so we would do that, and then we would stick the hose down there, and we would let that water drain out of the deer's nose and try to get most of that blood out of there. I don't know if it'd cause spoilage or not, but why take a chance? Go ahead and get it removed while you're there, is what I say. I've never heard of it. Now, I've seen it. I watched, like I said, I done a little research before this, watched a couple of videos, and I found a couple of videos where they said it. I found a couple of videos where they said you don't have to worry about it, leave it in there. You know, in my case, I always use the golden rule. If it's 51 degrees or below, your deer should be good to hang or even lay overnight if you have a marginal shot. If it's anything above that, you want to get it back. Either get it on ice, get it in a cooler somewhere. If you know somebody that's got access, if you've got access to a walk-in cooler to where you can hang that deer up in the cooler to let it hang and age. Or what I do is, if it's that hot, I get it back here to the house. I'll skin, quarter it, get it on ice before either I'm going to process it or I get it to the processor. And then that keeps your meat from spoiling. So as far as the windpipe goes, I haven't the slightest clue. We've always taken it out when I was a kid. I continue doing the same thing. Like I said, I get up in there as far as I can go and rip that out of there. So I really can't honestly answer that question because I've never left a windpipe in and let it spoil. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to take the chance, and neither should you. We owe it to these animals to harvest every little bit of meat off of them we can and do what we can to make sure that that meat hits the table for our families, for other families fortunate if you're donating deer, or if you've shot a deer for a family member that you're going to give it to them. We owe it to the animal, and we owe it to ourselves and to the conservation. So I'll leave it at that. And like I said, no sense taking a chance. Just get it out of there. Okay, so your next question. And then here's another controversial question. And I didn't do any research. I'm going to go off of knowledge on this question and my personal knowledge. The question is, can deer smell the difference between human urine and their own? To me, I don't know if they can smell the difference. I don't go around. I've heard of some guys that go around and they'll pee in the scrapes as they find them, and that'll attract the big mature bucks. I've heard guys say completely walk away from them. I've heard guys that poop in them and say it attracts them. To me, I've always been told that they can smell the difference. It's a controversial question, like I said. And personally, I don't know. What I do is I urinate out of my stand whenever. Matter of fact, when I took fence line this past year, I was urinating out of my stand. But he never got close enough and the wind was in my face as he came in, so there was no way that he could have smelled it. But I don't practice urinating anywhere I try not to urinate out of my stand if I don't have to. You know, I try to just hold it until I get back to my truck or until I get to the house and then go. But if I got to go, by all means, I'll go right there at the edge of the stand. And I've killed some deer that have walked right up underneath the stand and let them get out there 10, 15 yards and take the shot and harvest them. Now, do I find scrapes and deliberately go and pee on them? No, absolutely not. In my eyes, that's what I've always been told that they can. I don't know whether they can or they can't, but I urinate out of my stand year round. If I'm walking back to my stand of an afternoon or even of a morning and I got to go, say I forget to go before I walked away from my truck, then I'll go ahead and I'll stop in the middle of the trail and go. I mean, and I've never seen a deer coming down the same trail as me and get to where I did urinate and them run away. So I don't know whether it's true or not. I said some say it is, some say it ain't. I do it regardless. You know, I'm in a small 10-acre plot, so you know now. There might make a difference in the areas you're in or the spots you're in or the deer that are around. But in my particular instance, I just go. I don't care. And some may say that's stupid. Some may say that's ignorant. You should hold it. You should not. I don't know. I couldn't tell you whether they know the difference or not. But I will not, if I know there's a scrape right there, I won't urinate in the scrape. And I know some guys that will, but I try not to. And I won't walk over to a scrape and do that. And I won't walk to a rub or, you know, anything. If I'm on a well-used deer trail now, of course, I'll step off to the side 5 yards and go. But if I'm on my main walking trail and they're just going to happen to maybe cut through there, there's no way I'm going to stop and not go around. If I got to go, I got to go. Like I said, that's why I go. I remember being kids and carrying half-gallon milk jugs as a kid with Dad, and we'd carry a half-gallon milk jug in, and that's what we'd urinate in, carry it back, get to somewhere by the truck and pour it out. Keep water in the truck and would, you know, go ahead and pour it in there, pour the water in and swish it around, dump it back out so that it'd be fresh for the next time. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know whether they can smell the difference. I've never had an instance where it's hurt me during deer hunting. So, all right. And next one, the final question that we got. Like I said, we choose 3 questions out of a slew of questions that come in, and we try to hit, you know, the ones that are probably real good and important, or even ones that maybe I can think that everybody would have some knowledge of. So the next question was, what's the farthest kill shot you've done with a bow? My farthest one by far is 50 yards. Now, I do not shoot any more than 50 yards. That's what I personally am comfortable with shooting my deer with my bow. I'm sure that my Mathews E7 will reach out there and touch them at 60 and 70 probably. I'm not comfortable with shooting them at 60 and 70. Shoot at what you're comfortable. If you're a beginning hunter and you're just starting out and you're not comfortable reaching out there past 20 yards, by all means, do a 20-yard shot. Don't take anything less than or more than that. You know, it's all about what you feel comfortable. I'm comfortable at 50 yards. I know that if a deer's out there and I got a clean, wide open shot, 50 yards, I'll reach out there and stick one every time. Now, I shot fence line at I think he was 51 yards, I think, when I measured it. So I guess that's a kind of a lie. 51 yards was my farthest. But I hit my mark. I hit right where I'd put the pin, and I hit. Yard didn't make a difference. He was 51. I'm pretty sure of it. I'd have to go back and re-range it. Forget that off the top of my head. I'm getting forgetful in my old age. But yeah, I mean, it's all about what you feel comfortable. Don't go off of what I do. Don't go off of what I'm trying to think of somebody that I know that shoots far shots. Let's just say one that's sticking off the top of my head. I watch him on Instagram all the time is Cameron Haynes. I know he shoots 70, 80, 90 yards, 100 yards with his bow. He's comfortable at doing that. If you follow him on Instagram, you see him. He does it every day. He runs, then he goes back to the house and he shoots. I'm not comfortable with shooting that far. To me, it's just not ethical. But that's me. And like I said, I'm comfortable at 50. And I know that I can comfortably hit and kill a deer at 50 yards. Or any animal at that means. Now, there's a lot of variables when you take those kind of longer shots. I want the animal to be stopped, and I've shot 2 deer at 50 yards. I harvested an 11 point out, and I harvest both these deer out of the same stand. Both of them give me wide open. They're both wide open shots, or was. First one was a nice 11 point that I harvested back in, I think it was 16 or 17. Might have been 16. Let's see. No, that would have been 2015. I'm looking up at the 9-pointer that I harvested. That was the last year. 15 was the last year, besides this past year, that I bucked out during bow season. And I happened to have the one 9-pointer, which same year I shot the 11-pointer. So it would have been 2015. Both of them 50 yards. Both of them stopped. And I believe the 11-point video is on YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out, you're more than welcome to check that out. But I shot both of them standing still. Now, I want them both standing still. I want nothing in my way. Because at 50 yards, your arrow does have an arc. And if there's any limbs in your way, you will hit. You hit a limb, you could hit left, right. You could hit low, high, injure that deer, and then the deer runs off and suffers. And that's something that us as hunters do not want. We want to try to take these animals as ethically as possible. And this goes with whatever animal you might be trying to shoot. So take what shots are comfortable for you. Don't try to overshoot yourself, guys. That's just exactly how I do it. It's got to be a clean open shot. They got to be standing still, and I got to have a clear open shot of them vitals. If I don't have any of those, the arrow's not leaving the bow. And it goes the same way with a gun. If I got a gun and I got a deer out there at 90 yards, if it's not a wide open shot, I'm not shooting. I don't care. There just can't be anything in the way. I don't want anything to stray on that bullet or the arrow. If you're shooting a crossbow, shoot what's your crossbow reach. I know I got a crossbow up here. My wife's getting ready to use it this next deer season to try to harvest her a deer. That crossbow it will shoot out to 40 yards. There's just no good penetration at 40 yards. So I've told her anything at 30 and less, it should be good at. I've shot into my target and I only get about an inch, maybe 2 inches of penetration. And to me, that's not enough penetration to harvest an animal, especially something as like a whitetail. So you just don't want to do it. You just take what's ethical for you, what you feel comfortable at shooting. And like I said, don't listen to me. If you're only comfortable at 20 yards, shoot 20 yards. If you're comfortable with 30, shoot 30. If you're comfortable with 10, shoot 10. It doesn't matter. It's all about in how you harvest that animal, and you want to make sure that you're doing it ethically. And live by those rules. Those are the rules that I've lived by and that I was taught as I was a child growing up, deer hunting, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting. Take the shots that are ethical. Take an ethical shot, and do your best to harvest that animal as ethically as possible. All right, that is the final end of our questions. I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. We're going to get some stuff ready. The wife's making Mexican pizzas tonight for dinner. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching the show on Gen 7, checking out the on-demands. Keep going. Get to Gen 7 Outdoors. Check out all the on-demands if you haven't. Get those up. And we appreciate it. We'll see you again in 2 weeks, folks. Thank you.